Welcome back to the Promised Land where we talk about everything, but today we're talking about healing childhood trauma. So let's dive right in.
I remember a time in my life where I was just like super lost, super negative. My heart posture was bad, my attitude was bad, how I looked at life was just bad. I was angry.
So, what is childhood trauma? In the comments, like some examples of what you think childhood trauma is. When I think of childhood trauma, it can range from abuse, neglect, abandonment, unmet emotional needs. People experience sexual trauma. That has a wide variety of levels. Abuse, physical abuse, mental abuse. All of those things are traumatic to us. And a lot of times, if you don't allow yourself to heal when you become an adult or as you become an adult, then your life is going to feel like it's just like in a loop of being angry, being unfulfilled, being depressed, being just totally victimized about who you are in life and who you could be. And yes, I tell people all the time, trauma is real. A lot of people have experienced very difficult upbringings, and I believe everyone has trauma to a certain extent. But at the end of the day, you don't have to be your trauma. You don't have to wear it like it's your Sunday's best. You don't have to conform into just the brokenness that trauma brings to your life. A lot of times when we grow up and a lot of times when we become adults, we are upset at our parents for things that happened when we were children. Now, this is one thing you need to understand about the parent child relationship. A lot of times, your parents don't even know that you're holding on to stuff. I had to realize that. A lot of times, your parents don't even know that you're even mad or you were offended by something that happened or something that was said. So, when you become an adult and you find yourself still dwelling in childhood thoughts that feel like they're making you stagnant and it happened when you was underage, you really need to think to yourself, you need to ask yourself, have I even expressed properly how that incident or how that situation made me feel? A lot of times as children, we really don't know where to store all of our experiences. So if you've had a traumatic experience, the world kind of projects on us that we should just wear it and become it. I'll just be honest, just I started feeling depressed when I was really young. And I had several reasons why I felt like that, but I also just kind of was just like to be angry, to be sad. A lot of people growing up in poverty-stricken situations, poor situations, which that's like 90% of us, let's be real. And when that is your situation and that is your circumstance, how do you overcome the normalcy around you? If everybody is sad, if everybody has been in a loop of sexual trauma, emotional trauma, financial trauma, if that's your reality, that's your environment, when you grow up, you really need to just make up in your mind that you're going to do something different. Now, a lot of times as adult kids, we've stored this information in the forefront of our brains. And yes, you're a victim, right? And now you are a victim that's carrying a load that could have been dropped off long time ago. Okay? When you grow up and you decide not to do things, the proper things to actually position yourself to live a more abundant, more peaceful life, when you don't do those things, for example, such as furthering your education, going to school. A lot of people where I'm from, they don't believe in going to school. They don't believe in that. They feel like, okay, I made it through high school, that's enough. And then you find yourself caught in a loop, working like a standard factory job or a dead end job because you didn't do something that was in place that could have positioned you to be out of that environment that you swear you hate. Simple as being honest in a therapy session. A lot of times, yeah, going to therapy, but are you really being honest about your life and your feelings? Are you really utilizing the resources around you as an adult kid so that you can heal, so that you can forgive your parents and also ask for forgiveness, because that should be a two-way street. It shouldn't just be someone constantly apologizing to you, because let's be real, when you are angry, and a lot of us were angry children, when you were angry, you said stuff that was also hurtful. You did stuff that was also hurtful towards your parents. And you got to also responsibility for those actions, although you were a kid when it was done. Being conscious of mistakes that typically happens when you become an adult, when you really want to do right. God will start showing you things that you was wrong about. Because when you're trapped in darkness, you think that everything you're doing is right and everything that everyone else is doing is wrong. Okay? When you are brought into the light, meaning brought into the truth, into the reality of what your true situation is or was, you should start feeling convicted about some of the things that you did. And I remember when I was journey to learning, you have to learn how to honor your parents. When I was on that journey to learning how to honor my parents, I had to get real with myself a lot. I had to say, well, I know my hair. Okay. I had to say, well, let's really unpeel that hurt. Let's unpeel that trauma. So I was like assaulted and emotionally assaulted under the age of 18. And for a while, put y'all in my business, I was upset at my mama like she did this stuff to me. My mama didn't do that to me. My mama didn't do anything immoral to me. She didn't expose me to anything immoral. Neither did my dad. Those things were not exposed to me through my parents. But at the same time, you count on your parents for everything because you feel like a lot of people can truly say this. Daddy should have been there, right? We've all said it. We've all kind of blamed someone for the actions of someone else. For example, I have a homegirl and she was assaulted by like her mom's boyfriend. Okay, your mom didn't do that to you. So why are you angry at your mom? And you're saying, well, how can she choose a person like that? Your mom did not make him do that to you. So a lot of times y'all got to look at it like everyone has their own independent brain. So if your parents drop you off at a family member house and that family member decide to do something to you, that wasn't on your parents. Your parents didn't do that. Now I'm not saying parents who are aware of abuse, who are aware of certain things and they just continuously allow it to happen. I'm talking about parents who are really just kept in the blind. Because when certain things are done to you as a child, a lot of us don't speak up. Why don't we speak up? Because that's one of the enemy. Make you feel shameful, make you feel like, okay, what happened to you was your fault. I felt like what happened to me was my fault. Who planted that on me? I'm not sure. It's just one of the strategies that the enemy is able to use with a weak vessel. Children they're innocent vessels. So they're kind of like, they don't, not independent as children. We're dependent. So it makes you a little weaker than person. You're not even an independent thinker when you're a child. You still have a chain of command. Um, I'm just saying a lot of times y'all gotta peel back. You felt trauma. But why are you still holding on to it? Did you even express to your parents that whatever situation happened, did you express to your parents you would truly feel? And if you grown and you and your mama not cool, you and your daddy not cool, it could be, just to be honest with you, something that's still just kind of from your childhood. And it could be something that your parents don't even know about right now. Wanting a situation to work is, as an adult kid, put yourself in their shoes. Just try to empathize. If you don't really understand the depth of empathy, pray and ask God to and guide you through how to empathize with others, because you should have the spirit of empathy. You should be able to, a certain extent, kind of yourself in a person's shoes so that you can empathize with them. Empathize with your parents. Like, my mama really know this, or how would I feel if I was my mom? How would I feel if I was my dad? And let's just move on. Oh my God. Let me make this clear. Unresolved trauma, it affects our relationships, our mental health, and even our journey with God, where we stand, how strong our faith is with God. Something you could keep in mind, in Psalms it says, the Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. Like Psalms 138, something like that. But what does that really mean? Let's unpack that. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted. He understands your pain. Stop thinking that he's not the creator of everything. He sees everything. He knows everything. Stop thinking that your situation is just so far fetched. It is so beyond anyone else or anything else that it is so bad. Stop thinking that. Really not that bad. Someone else experienced something way worse than yours. And that doesn't justify your trauma. It should help you know that someone else's situation is worse than yours. And he's close to the broken heart. He understands that that your heart is broken, but he also is a God who restores. He's a God who heals. So all he wants you to do is lean on him. He saves those who are crushed in spirit. What does that mean? When I feel when I think about being crushed in the spirit, I think about just being broken, being dark, being depressed. I also just think about how when God created the earth, it was dark, it was void, and he was hovering over it. That just kind of makes me think about my life when I was just brokenhearted, when my spirit was crushed, when I felt like I really don't know whether I'm coming or going. That's just how low I was emotionally, mentally. And the minute I really submitted to God, I really turned to God. It's like a light just went off in me, appeared in me. So you really need to understand God understands your pain. He's really right there. He just wants you to really invite him in. We don't serve a God that's forceful. He wants you to choose him. So if you are holding on to childhood traumas and you're waking up every day and you're choosing to dwell in something that happened a long time ago, now that doesn't mean speak your truth or get your justice. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying sweep your trauma under the rug. What I'm saying is really get real with yourself. Embrace your trauma so that you can heal from it. Embracing it does not mean wearing it. It does not mean like a permanent outfit. It just means you really need to feel your pain so that you can heal through it. Okay? You are unhealed. There's a vessel that's gonna host a angry spirit, bitter spirit, a spirit of worry and anxiety. That's all being unhealed is. A person who is just available for any type of dark spirit to dwell in. Do you want that to be you? Because when you think about it, everyone is hosting a spirit. It's a spirit that's dwelling inside of me right now. It's a spirit that's dwelling inside of you right now. And everything about humans and connecting with other people, it can contaminate you. So what spirit is dwelling in you? Are you an angry person? And if you are an angry person, think about how many people you come into contact with. May that be your immediate family, your children, your parents, your co-workers. Think about how many people you come in contact with. Look at how many people you are contaminating with an angry spirit, with a bitter spirit, with a jealous spirit. And if you're a decent person, think of how many people you are contaminating in a good way. Contamination goes both ways. And you could really choose the type of spirit you want to have inside of you. If you really want a healthy spirit dwelling inside of you, you gotta let go of that pain. You gotta forgive some people. You gotta forgive yourself. You gotta repent about it. Turn and change. And you don't heal, just also think of how selfish that is. An unhealed person is literally having an unhealed posture is going to affect every relationship that you have with everyone. How can you honor your parents when you're angry? How can you honor your parents when you are still holding on to something that could just be a misunderstanding? You know, when it comes to healing, you really need to think about Isaiah. It says, "Fear not, for I am with you." What does that mean? Like, don't be afraid to become a new creature. Don't be afraid to live life outside of what you know. As a child, if you was an angry child, your whole childhood, you was angry, you was bitter, and you carried it over into your adult life, you didn't even make a transition. Your brain ever shift? Did your brain ever change? Did your heart posture ever change? A lot of times people are afraid to change. They're afraid to walk on new ground. So you think about it, fear not, for I am with you. God is with you every step of the way. So when you do decide, like, I am sick and tired of being sick and tired, I want out of this bondage. Understand that it's not going to be a walk in the park. It's not super easy to just, it's not like, okay, healed. No, it's a pruning process. Pruning hurts. It's a growing process. Growing hurts. It's a gleaning process. Gleaning hurts. It's stressful. So if you're really ready to heal and become just a person who can be an example of what it means to honor your parents, you really have to be ready for God to expand you and stretch you. That's not an easy task. A lot of times, your childhood trauma is something that you really just need to ask God, hey, God, prune this away from me. Show me how you want to use this. Show me how you want to use my pain, to turn my pain into purpose. Honestly, a lot of y'all really need to acknowledge that you're hurt. A lot of y'all really just y'all done got so used to lying to yourselves and lying to everyone around you and just lying. Somebody asks you how you doing. Oh, I'm okay. But you're not. The more you say you're okay, the more I'm kind of like you're planting that in your subconscious. It's a form of being delusional. Admit that you're hurting. Admit that you're angry. Admit this stuff. And what does it mean to admit this stuff to yourself? When I think about that, I think about I need to admit this to God. He's the only person who matters. Your life is not yours. Your life belongs to God. It should belong. You really want to get on some. You want to make sure that I'm honoring my parents. I want to make sure that I'm being the best version of myself. Admit, look yourself in the mirror and say, hey, I got a problem. I got a sickness in me. I'm hurt. So acknowledge that you're hurt and allow yourself to grieve. All right? Man, grieving is tough. When you think about grieving, you think about death. Okay? You become a new person when you're reborn, that old person dies. So before I really stepped into honoring the position that my parents hold, I had to die to the old promise. I had to grieve about that promise. I had knew her for a long time. I had to let the promise go who my parents said something to me and I didn't like it. Say something back in a combative way. I'm gonna be smart. No, that's old promise. If I'm upset at them, I'm not gonna answer the phone. No, that's old promise. You gotta grieve from that person. That person is dead. You gotta make sure that person is dead and gone. How do you make sure that person is dead and gone? You turn away, grieve. Hey, she's dead. Let me cry about her. You're gonna miss that person because you knew that person for so long. But trust in God enough that you'll be able to walk on new ground as the new promise who knows how to set a boundary with her parents instead of disrespecting my parents. Now it's like, hey mom, hey dad, I don't really like that. Not today. Or hey, let me just call you back. I'm feeling a little, triggered right now. Right now, I don't want to disrespect you. Let's talk a little bit later. Boundaries. Making sure that I'm using my voice to express how I feel versus holding stuff in and allowing it to build up. And then now I'm at a breaking point and I'm popping off at my mom and my daddy. A lot of y'all just popping off at your mom and your daddy because you ain't expressed nothing when it happened. Stuff happened 6, 7 months ago. You just piling crap on top of crap. Can't say it enough. Get in the word. The word is going to help you through all of this. Okay? Some counseling. And guess what? When you go to counseling, you don't need to get out of counseling thinking that you're now a counselor. Nah, big dog, it don't work like that. You had 1 or 2 good therapy sessions. Now you around here trying to counsel your parents. No, the counseling is for you to be able to be real with yourself, hold yourself accountable, be responsible for your choices, be responsible for the type of person you've become. And it's for you. It's not for you to leave that counseling session and go out like you can solve every problem in the world. No. A lot of y'all be approaching therapy wrong. Okay? Chill out on that. Surround yourself with a supportive community. What does this mean? Listen, a lot of y'all need to think about it right now. Go and think about your friend group, your top 5 friends, if y'all got 5 friends. It don't matter how many friends. Just think about the person you hang out with the most. What is their relationship like with their parents? Oh, okay. I want to say a lot about you because never forget when I wasn't really vibing with my parents. I had something to say about my parents out of anger, out of me feeling like I'm better than them. The people around me was talking that same yin yang about their parents. The minute I was done thinking like that and speaking death on the relationship that I could potentially have with my parents, those people stopped talking to me. You get what I'm saying? I was separated because I no longer thought like that. So you need to think about if your close friends you hanging out with, that you getting together with after work and you going on vacation with, and oh, that's your sister, that's your brother, that's your best friend. Do they got a good relationship with their parents? Are they honoring their parents? If not, you need to quickly get around a group of people who are honoring their parents. See, one of the reasons that I felt some type of way and felt like provoked to really make it right with my parents is because I was seeing other people have a healthy relationship with their mom, with their dad as adults. And I was seeing how people were speaking highly of their adult kids. And I'm like, I want that. I can have that. I deserve that. So I just want to close and leave y'all with this. Healing is a journey, it's not a destination. It's something you're going to have to continuously and constantly work at, no matter what. Okay, the older you get, the more you're going to have to make sure you're staying grounded in the word. You're going to have to make sure you're following God's commandments. And you're going to have to make sure you're staying as healthy as possible, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. Okay? God sees your pain. He also knows how deep down inside, if you could really put your pride aside, you really do want a good relationship with your parents. You just being very prideful as an adult kid. And parents, this could go for you too. You want a relationship with your adult kids. You don't like that your adult kids are not talking to you. You kind of normalize it, but let's be real. You want that to be restored. So take that first step today and just know God is walking with you through this. He wants exactly what you want. God is unity. He's not with all of that, all of the separatism that's being preached, the isolation that's being preached. God is unity. God is love, agape love. Both parties have to have at least a little bit of that inside of them so that they can learn how to belong, how to love unconditionally. Listen, thank y'all for tuning in. Don't forget to like and share. I'm going to see y'all on the next one. I love y'all.
Took me a minute for me to get to know you.